I actually know Bing from my mom, who used to work with him, and so good to see Bing. And Dr. Anderson, good to see you. And Dr. Anderman, thanks for having us. I've got to work with Dr. Light. Oh, I'm Peter Dewitt again. I've continued to be Peter Dewitt this whole time.
Are you sure?
I brought it with me. He said I left my sense of humor at work, and I said, no, I brought it with me. Well, good to see you guys. Nice to be here. It's an honor to be here. This is my first year being an assistant principal at Metro Early College High School on West Campus, which you might be aware of. It's my 6th year being there. I've been a science teacher the whole time, including this year, too. I had the privilege of working with Dr. Conrath, actually, in the principal licensure program here. So I have some history with different people on the board. It's really an honor to be here with Joni and Mike as well. And I'll lean on Mike to really give a more well-rounded perspective about how to approach the schools with research, because that's his specific role, and he has a lot more experience than I do. But from a building level, here are a few things that I would share. At Metro, we love research. If I heard someone say, they call it research because you got to look again, and I like that. And what we do at Metro, we don't ever want to do anything at Metro for students, quote unquote, because this is how we did it last year. Not that we're not fine building on what we've done before, because much of what we do goes really well, and then sometimes what we do, we think we can improve on it. Other times we see a new avenue develop and we want to take those. So as a school even, we kind of have a research and development mindset at Metro. But one of the gaps that I would say we have, just based on timing and personnel, et.cetera., is being able to do a rigorous research study on some of the things we do. Let's say the mastery system that we do at Metro. And if someone just smiled about the mastery system, please do come study it, because it's so interesting and I think it works really well, and I would like to pin down what are the variables that make it successful versus not successful. You know what I'm saying? And I think we've got some of those models, and we could even suggest where to maybe start your look. To search again, right? Research. And so I think that from a school level, we love to research and develop things, but I think the back end sort of highly analytical, really formalized investigations that would require an IRB, that sort of thing, that could be published in a journal, we're not really capable of doing those ourselves. Not that we couldn't at some point, but just timing-wise, we've got a lot to do, we've got a school to run. But that's where we love this sort of collaboration. We love our collaboration with OSU on multiple levels, but the chance potentially to have researchers come in and look at something meaningful and get good data, maybe at our school and other schools at the same time, but we love that. Dr. Leto gave me some guiding questions that I think would maybe be helpful to share. She asked, when should, if you want to do research at Metro, let's say, because I can only speak for Metro, when should you get involved? Like, what part of your research development process should you get us involved in? And I think it would be good to probably have your concept ahead of time. You've worked that out with your PI or something like that. But we would love to be involved before the IRB approval process, simply because we have a local context, and one of the reasons I think our school does real well is we have a pretty definitive culture. And so things like how we ask students to do things at our school might be different than how other schools ask students to do things. We kind of expect that students would want to help with things, so we don't do a lot of hard asks, more like a soft sell. And so some of these little dynamics, we would like to have say in things as simple as permission forms, or how you want to do an announcement, or even just practical logistical things. When and how long are the interviews that you want to do with students, and when do we have those sorts of time slots where you'd easily be able to access those students? So because we know some of those logistical components, I think that it's helpful to get us involved maybe before the final IRB approval process, because some just nuancing can happen through that conversation with us that, like Joni said, the front end work, I think, saves time on the back end, because once it goes formal with IRB, at least my perception is, it's harder then to change things. Not that or I should say maybe it just takes some time to change things. It's not necessarily hard. So if you can get us involved in the middle, at least from Metro's perspective, it seems like that's kind of a good time. I guess one other thing I would generally share is, someone asked, how would you decide if research would be allowed at Metro? I thought that was kind of interesting. And I had 3 words that came to mind. Does it share our value system? Something that we would come up with ourselves or close to it. Another thing is, what are the benefits of it to the school, to the students, to the school, to the teachers, to what we do there? And the third question is, what are the costs of it? If the costs are low, the benefits are high, and the values are in line, we're going to probably do it. If 2 out of 3 of those are in good shape, then we'll probably consider it. And if only 1 out of 3 of those are in good shape, we'll probably say no. And so that's kind of how, at least if I was to try to make a little model of how we would do it, that's my timer saying my 6 minutes are done, I try to cut myself short. So, so that they didn't have to. So that, if I was to say a little model at a small school where we don't have to systematize things as much and we have that luxury to be flexible, that's how I would kind of conceive of what research we would allow or not allow, or the framework we would use in deciding that. So I'll pass it along to Mike and Dr. Conrath. They'll have a lot more experience and great insight to add.